Hey everyone, so today we are going to be doing another neocities tutorial on this type of layout, kind of like MySpace, frutiger, aero, I think I'm saying that right, like Windows 7, I think, or is it Windows 95, I'm not sure, but just like old web kind of aesthetic themes. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. It's going to be in a similar format to my past neocities tutorials. And if you are completely unfamiliar with HTML and CSS and just neocities as a whole, I would recommend you check out a video, which will be linked in the description, where I kind of just go over the basics of neocities like as a whole and how to work your way around the site, which might be a little helpful. But yeah, so we're basically going to go ahead and get started. Once you create like an account on neocities and you create a new file, it might look a little different if this is your first file, but it is going to be a .html file. It's really important. It has the .html and you can name it whatever you want. This is kind of what you will see just starting out, and I have a pasty bin which will also be linked in the description called neocities common codes. And to the person who told me I should download an ad blocker, I'm working on it. I'm sorry if the ads are in the corner here are annoying, but this is basically just things like the cursor selection, disabling copy and paste, things that are mostly for like aesthetic purposes rather than like functionality of the website itself. I probably won't be showing a lot of those in the video, but I do go over them in the video, which I was just talking about. So if you're unfamiliar and would like to learn more, I would recommend checking that out. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get started first with the CSS and then into the HTML. The CSS is kind of like the styling, so like how the container looks like, and the HTML is like the things in the container themselves, if that makes sense. Like HTML would be the text, and then the CSS would be like what color the text is, for example. So you do the CSS first and then you do the HTML. And for this site in particular, I had a bit of trouble formatting it on mobile. So you're literally just going to replace this line with this. All I did was change the scale. It looks better obviously on a PC, like a laptop, a computer, but it will look the same, like everything should be the same size and like width and all that on your phone. It's just of course recommended you look at a website like this on a computer. So what we're going to be using in this site specifically is the 7.css. So this is basically just like Windows kind of old web style like elements, and this website, which will be linked in the description, makes it really easy to like just implement the code for the search box, for example, and you can have the like search box in your website. So a lot of like the website, like this like little like Windows thing here, the search box, the tabs themselves are from 7CSS. So we need to like add the installation, like import it into our neocities, and that's really easy. You literally just copy and paste this thing here at the top, and I don't think it matters necessarily where you put it. Yeah, so we're literally just gonna put it like right here. And then this scroll bar is a little bit different. It looks like this, although I think you might not need to implement the scroll bar. 7CSS might automatically import their scroll bar, which is like this one, but I guess it's a little different. So we will just go ahead and copy and paste that code. It's very long, but we will get there. And we just need to make sure that after, let me double check, make sure I'm doing it correctly. Yeah, so after the end head and in between bodies, so like in between here, you're gonna add these, which is where all of the CSS will go. And I'm using like a different microphone kind of sorta, because I've got some complaints about my audio on my previous videos, so let me know if this is better or worse. But yeah, you literally just copy and paste the code. You don't actually need to change it or edit anything. And then similarly, we're just going to add the fonts that I use. Obviously, you can change the fonts to your liking. That does not matter. Oops. Okay, yeah, there we go. And then next, so this is body. Body is basically just like the background of the website, just like the whole website itself. So you can either make the background a color, which I really liked this color for like the theme we're going for. So you would replace this line if you wanted it to be a color instead of an image with these two lines here. But for our sake, we're just going to do a image background, and I'll explain that in a second. So you're just going to do body and then paste the code and then end bracket in that format. And I downloaded the picture I'm using as a background from, which is this picture right here, from Pinterest. So I downloaded it and then I uploaded it to Card, which if you're not familiar with Card, literally that's like what my whole channel was before I started getting into neocities. So this is something you can do completely for free. You just make a simple card site and just add images. As you can see, like that's what I did here. And then you're just going to copy the image address and paste it into where it says image link here. I do this instead of like copying the link directly from Pinterest, because if the person who uploaded the image deleted it from Pinterest, it would no longer show up on your website, if that makes sense. And then this just sets the default font for all the text to this font so that we don't have to like repeat it for every single element. And then this also keeps it so you can't like endlessly scroll on the website. You can only go as far as like the content allows, if that makes sense. And then this just extends the background image so that the image like covers the whole screen and isn't just like one like tiny portion of the screen, I guess. But yeah, so this is just an element we're gonna call container. It's literally just like the positioning. So like it makes that every single thing is like in this one container, so that it's like in the center and not all the way over to the left, basically. So you might need to adjust the like numbers and whatnot depending on your like laptop or phone or like wherever you're doing this. And then this is this container right here, so we're going to add that, and I just called it 1. I would recommend calling your elements the same thing I called them, because when you're copying and pasting the HTML, once we get to that, if you know container isn't called container, you're going to need to change it here as well as in the CSS so that the HTML knows what CSS it is implementing, if that makes sense. So I would just recommend you use the names that I'm using. And usually I take out the color codes, which are like these things here, which you're welcome to change. Like this is that green color, but you are welcome to change it to whatever you like. But since like we're going for like a specific theme, I just left the colors in. I also just think that's easier. And then 1, this is just positioning for like this stuff on the side over here, so that instead of below the little icon, it is next to it, if that makes sense. And then this is obviously our second container, which has a lot of containers within the container. And then this is the container with the blue drop shadow. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I guess that just shows all my tabs that are open. That's fine. And then this is the container within the blue drop shadows, like the container with the actual text in it. What was it called? I called it hello, right? Because that's like where I put my introductory text, and you can obviously use this site for whatever you want. It doesn't have to be like a personal thing about you. I'm just showing you how you would make it that, like kind of the base for the layout. And then this is just we're gonna call it age. It's the text, this text, the 20, that makes it like a different font with like a different color. So we're gonna call it age, and instead of, we're not gonna put a dot before it, because I'll explain that once we get to the HTML portion. It'll make more sense. And then I skipped this, but we'll go back to it. We're just gonna call it mark for now, like highlight. I didn't want to like copy the code completely, but you'll be using this code, the image mask code, for like the text up here, the about me text. I'll have this link to this site in the description. This is a really awesome resource. I love the codes on this website. The creator seems like a super friendly and awesome, helpful person, so I would recommend going to support it, check it out. But yeah, we basically used this code, which it's really awesome. It gives you the CSS and the HTML you can copy directly, but we're just going to copy everything like in the middle here. Like so. And then in the Google Doc, which again will be linked in the description, I have the stuff that I changed. If you want to just copy this, that's okay, but I figured it helps a little bit to like know what you're changing. So this basically just makes an image the background of the text, which I think is super cool. So I'm just using this image, and I'm going to go in and literally just copy and paste the link. I'm again using the card method, which I explained, and then I changed a font. I added the font. Again, you can use a different font, but we're going to use this font because I like this font. And then yeah, I just changed the font size, made it a little smaller. Yeah, and that's it. I changed the name from image mask to mark. We'll just format that a little bit better. There we go. Not that it matters. The code will still work the same. And now getting on to the third container, this like little fun phone thing. It's not actually functional. It's kind of just there for decoration, but I like it. So yeah. I hope this is easier, just copying and pasting things directly. I tried to make this tutorial so that there's less things for you to change. And then phone, which is like this box within the gradient. And you can change the background of the gradient for the this like dark blue color. For 3, you would just change this like gradient here, and I have some resources. If I forget to put them in the description, I have them in my other neocities videos where I talk about like how color codes and like RGBA and like all that stuff works. If you're not familiar with it, it's like so easy to understand though, so don't be like intimidated. And then next is light and dark buttons. This again is not going to be with a dot in front. I'll explain why later. So like the light is just like these buttons, and then the dark is like the buttons with like the black. So you could make all of them light or all of them dark. It literally like just depends on you. I just think it looks cool that way. And then these like icons right here, oh look, that's cool, you can, sorry, that got distracted. These icons right here, they're like obviously positioned next to the buttons, so we had to create like a separate container to put them in, and then like just it's an invisible container, like there's no actual container, but it's just to position them to the right of the buttons so that they don't go below the buttons. So we'll just do that. Again, positioning and whatnot might need to be adjusted based on your device, but you would just edit like the numbers that you see here. It's pretty straightforward. Nothing super confusing in my opinion. And then the main container with the tabs on the right, so that's literally this entire container here where we'll put like the window and the tabs and the marquee once we get there and all that stuff. I tried to name them like kind of what they were to avoid confusion. So yeah, and then all of this, we're literally just gonna copy and paste it because I had a bit of trouble getting the tabs to work and the window to like stay in the container and look how I wanted it to work. So hopefully it doesn't just work for me and it works for you guys. But yeah, I don't really feel like explaining it because I still don't really understand it. But yeah, I went through a bit of trouble to get this to function. So we're literally just gonna have you copy and paste it for the sake of time and also my sanity. And then we're gonna get into like the actual like text within the what's it called, the tabs. So first we have gray, which is obviously just the like gray sections, and I did it kind of like, oh, like a guest is like logging on and talking to you on your profile kind of situation, but you can obviously like make it however you want it to be. So yeah, gray. And then I don't know why I created a whole nother div for this because there is a way to do it within the HTML, but I literally just did it so where like this text is blue to make that text blue. So again, no dot, we'll explain why later. And then again, white, pretty straightforward. It's like the text background that isn't gray. So this could be like, I did it so it was like, oh, like me responding to like the guest user who's asking me questions about myself type. And then I think I just called it name, and then the color, so the orange, which you can, again, if you're doing like a different theme or something, color scheme, just change the color code. I will put resources in the description for that. Let me actually make a quick note because I'm gonna forget. Okay, awesome. And then I also had trouble with the marquee, but I just copied the code from one of the other websites I've done with marquee. So we're literally just gonna, oops, my goodness, you're just gonna copy and paste it. Unless you like know what you're doing, I wouldn't recommend changing anything. Okay, so moving on now to the HTML. This is stuff that you will put outside of style. So like literally like just like right here, you'll paste the first thing, and you can see we have some errors, but like we haven't done the whole thing yet, so don't worry, we'll get there. You're putting everything into the container, and then the first container, and then like the pixel that is right here is what you'll add. And I recommend this site, which will be in the description, pretty much where I get all my pixels. As you can see, there are many options. So again, that's a similar thing. You will just do copy image address and paste it where it says pixel image here. And again, if you don't want to add a pixel, like it's completely up to your discretion. I obviously don't want to control what you do. And then this little like bit here about style, like width, is just making the pixel like not so big so that it like fits kind of in the corner. And then I have like the text, which again you can change, and just make sure the image link is like within the quotation marks. And then we'll put like the little icon image, which I also got from Pinterest. I just searched like frutiger aero icon, and I got this using the card method, copy image address, and putting this right here. Again, adjusting the width, spacing it out a little bit from the pixel at the top, and then positioning mood excited, which you can change that text, and then putting the little pixel and then the image below. Pixel I got from the same site that I just talked about, and then additionally the little image like this one where it says I'm online, send me a message, I got from this site, which will be in the description. This is where I get a lot of graphics, and it's super cool. You can search by like categories, so like blinkies, which is something we'll talk about later when we do the marquee. You would just like click on it and then copy image address, like the similar thing we did. So putting that there. And I can't reiterate enough that even if you implement all the CSS, until you finish the HTML, it will not actually show up on your sites. I get a lot of questions like, why isn't my container showing up? And it's just because you put the CSS. If you didn't put the HTML, it will not work, even if the CSS is correct. And like here, even this won't show up properly because we haven't closed out the div class for the container, which is, like I said, like the whole positioning thing. We're gonna put everything in the container and then end div the container, and then it will show up like how we want it to. Implementing CSS without implementing HTML is like saying, I want the text to be blue, but then not saying what you want the text to say. I feel like that's a good analogy. So yeah, moving on, I guess, to the next container, we have the second container down, kind of going down the line in order here. So we'll just like add a little space. So obviously we have the container, and then the container with the like the blue shadow there, and then this is like the search box, but I edited it a little bit from the one from 7 CSS. We're not using the one, well, we are using the one from 7 CSS, but I edited it, so you're just gonna copy and paste it. I'm not gonna really explain that. And then obviously the container with the text itself. So here we have about me, which is this mark text here is the image text, and you can like skip past me explaining it if you kind of already know what you're doing. But the reason we did not put a dot before mark is just so that we can kind of do it like this. Like instead of doing div class hello and putting all of this into the div class, we are just putting this like one little, these 2 words. So it just makes it like, instead of having a container within a container within a container, we just have like one little bit that is different from the rest of the text, if that makes sense. I don't think I explained that very well, but yeah, that's just the difference between putting like a dot and then like not having the dot. Like you wouldn't have to do div class mark about me like end div. You can just put it within the div class. If I didn't explain that very well, I apologize. But BR is just like a line break, so like moving on to the next line, so that about me can have its own line. And then I have the pixel, which I think I just copied all of my pixels into this Google Doc here. So it would say your name, and for my name I used this site will be in the description. I literally just copied one by one the image address to spell out my name of like these pixel letters here. You can obviously just type out your name. I'm just like really extra, so we're gonna copy and paste this. This is just all of the I think it's 7 letters in my name, 7 pixels to spell out my name. And then line break, and I go by blank pronouns. So we're gonna be using the text generator in the glitter graphics, and I think I used, was it this one? So I use she, her. Is that the one I used? Yes. Okay, so you can type whatever you want, obviously, and then you'll, with any of the text styles here, you click generate code, and then you're gonna copy the HTML, and then you just put it in like right here. And then I think I did edit the width, so like for all of these I added width 15 to make them all the same size. So border equals 0. Yeah, before border equals 0, I added width equals 15 before all of them, just to make sizing correct and whatnot. So yeah, I'm just gonna do that really quickly. I'll write, and we'll see once we publish it, anything needs to be adjusted, and then line break again, and then another pixel, which I have right here. I believe it's the like little apple, and then like we did again, the special text for our age, so however old you are, if you want to include that. I'm 20, so I'll put 20, and then more text, and then another line break, and then a pixel, which I got from the glitter graphics site. This one that I was just talking about, it's like a little, just like a little SpongeBob graphic. I think it's cute. And then this little Mario one, which I believe I got from this site. I love this site. There's like sections, like this is the pixel section, but there's like a divider section, a background section. So those are all options as well. So yeah, this will be outside of the container, which is why we have end divs. So it's outside of the this container with the text, outside of the blue box container, but within the two containers. So we put it there at the end, and then we make it smaller, so the width might, the number of, like the width number might need to be adjusted based on the size of your image, and then we end the div. So we're done with container 2, and we move on to container 3. And again, ignore the errors because they will go away once we have finished putting everything in the container. So finished with everything. Also, another something I've noticed is I have neocities errors like on pretty much all of my websites, but they still work properly. A lot of it is just like functionality, like format things, so your site might work properly but just has some like, I guess, like design errors. But I am, you know, not making like super high level like websites. They're just for fun, so I just choose to ignore it. So yeah, next we're moving on to the third container, which this one is really straightforward. It's just the phone. So like I have all the numbers and like the asterisk and the hashtag put in for you with like again, the like, instead of div class, just the normal like highlight mark, and then the icons, which you can adjust the width and change the icons. I found these images from Pinterest. I think I just searched like app icon. I will probably take the image links that I'm using out of the Google Doc, just because like I obviously do not have a problem if you want to use the same images I do, but I would just, I mean, obviously if this, you can see the website link and like see all of the images I've used for like all my sites, and you can like implement them in your sites. Like obviously I can't stop you from doing that, but you know, if I do end up deleting the image for whatever reason, it won't show up on your site. So I would just recommend you make your own. But you know, if you're feeling lazy, obviously that is an option. And then we're getting into the tabs, which this is a lot, but we're gonna explain it, and then I'm just gonna leave it as like the template, and then when we publish it, you'll see, and like I'll explain how it differs from like when I've added all my stuff. So basically, here will be where the titles of the two tabs are, and if you want more than just two tabs, you're welcome to have like a third one. You would just like copy and paste this whole line, like copy and paste it, and then you would change it to like tab C instead of tab B, and then you would add like another article. So like this whole thing that I have like highlighted right now, this is everything for tab B itself. So you would like copy this, paste it, and then again just change it to tab C and whatever you want in tab C. So yeah, tab A title, where it says tab A title, tab B title, that is the titles at the top. So who do I listen to? What are some of my interests? You can obviously change that if you want to. And yes, I just realized we are going out of order. I have not talked about the CSS here, the little window. So we'll do that after I explain the tabs, because I'm already explaining them. But yeah, so this is like the text, like I said, where it says guest user, and then you would have whatever text you want the guest to say. This right here, since it's in between the guest bracket, this is going to be the blue text. And then text goes here is like everything below it in the gray section here. And then we end the div, and then we're doing white, and then we have the orange text here, which would be like your name. You can change the time, delete it. Another line break with the BR, and then more text. And then obviously I have like throughout just like little random Hello Kitty pixels, which I got from this website. It's really cool. You can't search every single word ever, but some words work, like emoji works. I searched Hello Kitty. I got all the Hello Kitty pixels. So I'm just copying image address from this Tumblr site and pasting it in here. And then you would adjust the width based on your pixel, and that's kind of just repeated however many times you want. So like guest user shows up 3 times here, but only 2, but like this part, the white, is only twice. So you can copy and paste, add more, delete more sections, if that makes sense. So like guest user, the text, div class again with the pixel, again delete it if you don't want a pixel there, and if you want 2 pixels, just copy this, paste it, edit the pixel, and then this, I left the image in there because I thought it was cute. It's just the little one that says offline after like the chat is done. You can delete that. You would literally just delete this and it will be gone, but I left it in there in case you wanted it. And then we end article and we start with tab B, which is pretty straightforward. Everything on tab B, it follows the same format. Again, if you only want 1 tab, you would delete everything in between article role and end article, and then you would delete this line at the top here. And similarly, if you want a 3rd tab, you would just do what I talked about earlier, copy and paste this whole line, change to tab C, copy and paste everything between article role and article. Like this is 1 tab that I have highlighted, copy it, paste it, and then change it to tab C at the top, and then whatever you want the text to say, if that makes sense. So those are the tabs, and now we'll quickly add the this is the window. So yeah, so I just wanted to explain like what I changed from the title bar. So I believe I just did this one right here. So we're gonna copy code. It makes it really easy, and repaste it, and then I'll kind of explain what I changed in case you want to learn behind 7, like what goes on behind 7 CSS and like how to like personalize it, or just like any CSS in general. If you're feeling lazy and don't really care to understand it, just copy and paste this, but you need to delete everything in between the like line and asterisks or the code will not work. So yeah, so obviously we need to put it within the main class, so we'll do that. This goes for, we want the tabs in the main as well, and then the little progress bar in the marquee, which we'll get into after this. And then I changed the max width to 435, which is how big our container is on the side there. And then I added these little lines here, which I'm literally just gonna copy and paste, and then I'll explain what they do. I don't like the drop shadow around this, so I deleted it. Okay, I just realized there was a part of the code that didn't actually do anything, like it wasn't necessary, so I deleted that, and actually ended up publishing this site, and this is what we have so far. I did really quickly want to mention in the if you're using like the glitter text for your pronouns or any other words that is more than 1 word, so like there's a space in between words, it's gonna put this in here, and you're gonna want to delete this. This is just like the space between the words. You can either delete it or make the width smaller, because it looks fine now, but I published it and it was too much space in between the 2 words. Since they're on a different line, it's fine. But yeah, you can either delete that or leave it in there and just adjust the width, because if you want the space between the words smaller rather than bigger, if that makes sense. But yeah, so like this is what the tabs look like before you stylize them, and it doesn't actually work yet because we haven't put in the JavaScript, but we're getting there. And then we need to also edit the window a little bit. But yeah, like this is how it looks once it's like edited, and then like this is kind of just like the template for it. So obviously this would be like where the pixels are unless you delete them, and then it's just very like empty looking because there's no text or like title or anything. So yeah, so here we are just gonna add like the font so that the title isn't just like this basic like Arial font, unless you want that. So we're gonna put it like right here, and then we will we have to end the quotations, and then we'll put, like, we're just gonna change what it says. I think that's what mine says. Web space. Sorry, I guess it doesn't matter, but. And then I deleted this just because I didn't like it, but it's just like this little question mark here. You can leave it if you want, but I deleted it. Okay, and then there's an extra div. You're gonna wanna delete that because we're gonna add it in the next thing that we add, which is this little like bar right there. So that's again, it's called the menu bar from the 7CSS site. You can either do this one or this like less interactive one, which is what we're doing, just because I think this gets in the way of the tabs, but completely up to you. So you're gonna add it, and then I believe the only things like I edited was I changed the font to match the font we use for the rest of the site, and then I added, since we just deleted a div from this up here, I added one down here, and it should, well, I did it before the video and then re-recorded it, so it was already there, but when you reload the site, it should look like that. And again, please don't freak out if the tabs aren't working. We are going to add the functionality to that later. So yeah, the next thing we're going to do is add the progress bar, which I did not really change much to. There's multiple progress bars. You can do the one that moves, the green one, the red one, or the yellow one, or the green one that doesn't move, which is the yellow one is what I did. So after the tabs, since we went out of order, we'll put it there. And then I added just this line of code, which moved it over to the left so it's not touching the border of the container. And then I added, I made it longer so that it extends across the entirety of the container. And then 50% here is just how much the bar is full with like the yellow, like liquid or whatever you want to call it. I put this in the wrong position. Don't do what I'm doing. It goes up here. I'm sorry. I was like, why is there an error? Figured it out. Now it looks normally. So yeah, so it's half full, but you can, if you do less percent, so 30, the yellow would stop over here, more percent. So like 80, the yellow would go up here. So that's like up to you, what you want to do. And then now for the marquee, we're literally just gonna copy and paste this. Like so. And yeah, so I have 5 blinkies, but if you want more, you would just copy and paste this, or if you want less, you would just delete what you don't want. And then the first one, just when it starts a new cycle, so that the like first one isn't touching the last one of the carousel, if that makes sense. So you can just leave that. And then I'm just gonna copy and paste the blinkies that I used in my previous one. So we scroll down. So yeah, I'm literally just gonna copy and paste this, but I get all of these from the glitter graphics site, which I just mentioned. So they literally have a blinkies category, and so like, oh, if you love your brother, you can, I love my brother, copy image address, and then you would paste it directly in the like GIF, like the GIF link. Just make sure you know it's within the quotation marks. And all the blinkies are pretty much the same size, so it works really well for a marquee. Some of them are a little bigger, so just make sure you don't get one like this unless, you know, that's a little bit like taller, unless they're all taller, unless you don't mind it like being super uneven. But yeah, so like this, and it's not gonna like actually move because we haven't added the JavaScript, but we're doing that right now, so don't panic. So we would add the music player, but we're gonna do that after we do this. So this is just JavaScript that makes the tab and the marquee elements work. I looked up some of this online. I didn't like code all this myself, so don't ask me to explain it. But yeah, so we're gonna paste it like right here. So just make sure that it's before body and HTML, and I think it should work. I don't know, I don't think it has to be before div. I don't know why it says that. Yeah, it works properly. So I think we just haven't added the music player yet, but you can ignore that it says before div because it is doing what it needs to do. And then finally, obviously, our last thing is the music player. So this is something I got from CodePen, so not my code like whatsoever. Shout out to this person. I just copied the HTML and then I did change a few things, so we'll go over like what I changed. So yeah, we're gonna, before the JavaScript, after the div, we're gonna just do that, and it's gonna give you a bunch of errors because you've put like div classes and headers and bodies within other div classes and headers and bodies that haven't been ended, but you can just ignore it because it works. It will work, trust and believe. So the first thing we're going to change is like the music player itself. I made it bigger and I guess wider as well, or like I made it less tall but more wide because we want it to be positioned like with the remaining space we have on the website. So yeah, this is like a you can keep the comments in, if you want to just copy and paste this, the comments, you can keep the comments. So if you do want to copy and paste it, you won't have to like delete the comments, but this is just something. So here I have like, I changed the background, I just made it white, and then I added like a gradient and then a border to it. So you can keep the comment, delete it. This is just the border color that's like this like green color. You can obviously delete or change that if you just want a solid color, like a different gradient color. And then I did add some positioning, so that's pretty straightforward. And then track art, which is like obviously the little like album cover there. If I can figure out what I'm doing, I made it a little bit bigger. And then I added a border, which you can add this like anywhere. I just made it white. And then for like the duration, the time of the song, total duration, where is that? I changed the font. I made it the font that we have been using. And then anywhere where it says cursor pointer, we're going to delete that because it gives the music player like its own cursor. But we want the cursor that we're using for the card, which like I mentioned is something like I explain how to use custom cursors in my like main neocities video, which again will be in the description. So yeah, just where it says cursor pointer, delete that unless you publish it, see how it looks, you like it. That's just again personal preference. And then for the like track name, the track artist, we've like stylized it to look a certain way. So we're gonna edit that now. That would be now playing track name, track artist, that section, which is like right over here. So we added a font and we changed the size. We made it bigger and white. And then we added a drop shadow. This, you can change the colors of the drop shadow. I have it as just this like blue color, but yeah, this is actually the double border drop shadow from this this resource, which we've already, or not double border, yeah, double border, that's what I meant, from this resource, which we already talked about earlier. And yeah, I guess that's it for that. And then I did forget earlier, we're gonna wanna, obviously because the title is different from the artist name, which is something you edit before hashtag mini play, like right here, we're gonna scroll up a little bit to where it says track artist and just add this style. Oops. So you would say style equals, and then like so within the quotation. So we changed the font size, we made it smaller. We got rid of the double shadow that the song title has. We changed the color, we made it orange instead of white. And then yeah, just assigned the font, or a different font to it. The font that we have been using. And then, yeah, obviously song names, the track art, song artist, and the song itself will all be different depending on what you like obviously decide to add and how many like songs you decide to add. So I am just gonna copy what I had already implemented, but I'll explain kind of like what you would want to change. So these are the default songs that come with it. So we're gonna replace it with my song, so you can change the name, the artist, and then the image and the song, which I just recently made a video about how music players work, so that will be in the description as well if you guys want to check that out. I will make a note so I don't forget to add it to the description. If you're not familiar with how to download an MP3 file, and then I use the Dropbox method to upload the song to Dropbox and then copy and paste the link, and then I also use the Dropbox method to upload like the album cover and then copy and paste the link, like so it's embedded into my site. And then I guess the last thing we will just add, I put the specific cursor I used in like my reference in the description. If you're interested, you just literally, it's so easy, you just copy that, and then you would put it right after style ends, put it right there, and that's it. And now it's in your site. Something has gone astray with the track art, guys. We'll figure it out. Oh my goodness, I am so silly. There's already a freaking... Guys, don't do this. I did it wrong. See, even I still make mistakes. Literally just do that. Just replace where it says div style. How did I not see that? And now it should look proper. Yes. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess. Like I said, like the little like icon in the corner here, like the highlight, the disabled copy and paste, like all that stuff is in this pasty bin, which you can, again, how many times can I say it? The video will be in the description if you're interested in that. And then if anybody cares, I got big inspo for this site layout from this like random pin I saw on Pinterest. I don't know if you can like see the resemblance. But yeah, so if you guys have like any requests for stuff you want to see, literally just send me a random pin and I'll come up with something and make a tutorial on it. I think that would be super cool and awesome and fun. But yeah, I mean, if anyone has any questions or anything of the sort, you know, let me know down below. If something's not working, don't give up. Ask me for help. I mean, it literally just takes practice and practice and practice until you get good at it. I started knowing absolutely how to do nothing, and I still don't think I'm that good at coding. But yeah, please request more tutorials. My socials are all linked in the description. Thank you guys for all the continued support. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. I'm just going over my normal spiel. It's time to go edit this video now. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'll see you guys in the next one, which hopefully won't take too long to make. But yeah, bye-bye.